Reality.
UFOs.
Science.
Consciousness.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
That might not be a real thing. The podcast. Four, three.
That needs a double light. Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm here with Macka and Danny D. I'm your host, Candyman, and we are broadcasting live from HQ. I want to welcome everyone back to the show with a special shout out to a fan, Katie Denomi. Thanks for listening, Katie.
Katie Denomi. Who's Katie Denomi?
She's the infamous / famous Mike Denomi's sister.
Okay. How about Brian 003? Brian 003, I'm looking for you.
Shout out to those guys.
Shout out.
So, hey, welcome back, everyone. I'm ahead of the curve, strangely enough, because for a long time on my YouTube channel, and I try to greet everyone equally on this channel. I don't say, hey, what's up, guys? Because that's like the number one greeting out there on YouTube. And I actually got from the creator, like I have a YouTube creator thing that they send me, and they're like, hey, do you use what's up, guys, in your intro? It's one of the most popular ones. And I'm like, actually, no, I don't, because I figured out ahead of time that somebody would bitch about it, right?
Dude, it's so
it's
popular.
Just natural.
Every channel. What's up, guys?
It's just natural to say it.
There's maybe a million channels.
So they're trying.
What's up, guys?
They're trying to change that, but I don't do that. I say, hey, what's up, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between? What's up, candy fans? What's up,
bitches?
Everybody, bitches, everybody. I just try everybody, encompass everybody.
What do we want to call our fans?
I don't know.
You should just pull your dinky out on your YouTube, Chris, and just hang it and just say, you like
I'll tell you what.
Like that, dinky?
I'll tell you what, Macka. You asked a great question, and it's a perfect opportunity to bring up the fact that we're on Instagram and have email, and maybe the fans of the show can submit names that they would like
fan names.
Like a fan group name, right?
yeah.
That's what we're talking about here. And
you can CC naked pictures me.
Give us those details, sir.
Well, let's start with the gram. Everybody's on the gram, so you can follow us at TNMBART. That's TMNBART podcast, or that might not be a real thing. All one word. Hit us up on there. Follow us. Hit that follow button.
Then they can like things that we post.
Then they can see our posts, which will be increasing over time as we get more into that. And then you can email us questions, ideas, things you want us to talk about.
Try to keep the hate mail to a minimal.
We're starting a website for naked pictures of your mom.
Yes.
Yourmom.com. We bought the domain.
Time out. What are people supposed to do? Photograph their own mother naked?
No, we have them already. We have them.
You're saying we've got the surveillance?
Got the goods.
I'm not privy to that information, but I would like to peruse the pictures. Go, let Macka get the info out.
On the gram, TNM Bart podcast, or that might not be a real thing, all one word. Follow us. Also, you can send us your ideas, questions, concerns. And today we're starting a contest. What do you want to be called as fans of That Might Not Be a Real Thing, the podcast? Email us at tmnbart@gmail.com. So tmnbart@gmail.com.
That's basically it, right? I think you got it.
On your FM dial.
On your FM dial, motherfuckers. Yeah, so that's it. If you got something to say to us, that's how you can do it. And you can follow us on...
We will read your question on air.
It's okay to call it the gram, but you can't say the Instagram. Like, that's like saying the Google.
Yeah.
I don't know the...
IG, called IG.
I don't know all the words. But before I get into the insane day that I had yesterday in terms of I went out and partied, let's play That Might Not Be a Real Thing. The game.
The game.
The game. Someday there'll be a
All right.
game.
And also, I have no clue what's gone on in the news this week. I have absolutely nothing.
Well, time
I
out.
couldn't say one story that went on in the news this week.
Time out. If you're listening in for the first time, and we do have some new listeners, by the way, because I met them last night.
Did you?
Yeah, oh yeah. Some of them are under 5'7", so they're in on the short guy
Short
support
gang.
thing,
yeah,
the support
yeah.
group for the short guys.
We should start a fraternity.
Short gang.
Yeah, the whole premise of the game, that might not be a real thing, is based on the fact that you, Danny, and I do not watch the news and do not read the newspaper.
I live in a fantasy world.
Yeah, we both do. And we have a very limited actual knowledge of what happens out in the world today, which did get me got me a spot of trouble last night, mate. But so Macka, he's in on the news, although now we've corrupted his feed with UFO material.
Right. So who knows?
So he comes up with something, and you and I have to figure out if it's real or not.
I got some UFO material.
Those are the
today,
rules. We might have to explain it like a couple more times, but that's it.
Yeah. We'll probably
Okay,
explain it every time, and that's okay.
It is okay. They do that on TV all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do, like, after the commercial, they're like, in case you didn't see the 15 minutes ago thing, this is what happened real quick.
Yeah, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
So what do you got for me, you clever devil?
Well, look, this you may have possibly heard about this, but maybe we can play the guessing game. A billionaire CEO is going into space.
Okay.
Okay, he's being launched into space.
Alive or dead?
Alive.
Jeff Bezos.
Yep.
Okay.
And he owns his own space company.
Yeah. That's why I
Fine.
figured it was him.
Interesting that all the 100 billionaires are going into space.
It's the final
The
frontier,
the race for space, as we maybe call it.
Kind of, yeah. It's going to be a resource grab.
So Jeff Bezos is going into space in his rocket called Blue Origin. That's a space company. And he will be flying a very it's a suborbital flight. Him and his brother and maybe some other folks. They're going into flight. The rocket is called New Shepard. And these flights, basically it's the first flight of this company.
Can I tell you that right out of the gate, this is a poor choice of stories to try to use as to trick us with, because this is like something that would show up in my feed, although I have not heard any of it yet.
Either.
But I'm just saying,
either.
anything that has to do with like people going into space, I probably got the knowledge on that, but I don't know anything about this, so keep going.
Right.
I
So
hope aliens suck his ass out.
so Bezos and his brother and maybe some others are going in a suborbital flight that they'll fly into space for 11 minutes and then come back down.
Why?
They just want to do the experience
Because
they can.
Yes. And
I would too.
There you go.
so he's going to go into space for 11 minutes. The rocket will reach 2,300 miles per hour.
2,300 miles per hour.
2,300 miles per hour.
That's about right. They did that in Armageddon, so it sounds
Yep.
good.
And the rocket will be mainly unmanned,
All computerized.
basically.
Armageddon is like
so he's gonna
the movie.
He's gonna
on
sit
science.
inside this craft and let it propel him into fucking
Into orbit.
wild speeds
Right.
through massive, just different types
Wait,
of air.
there's gonna be no pilot?
No pilot.
It's auto. It's all computerized, baby.
Jesus.
Hal's the pilot, Dan.
Yeah, HAL 9000.
It's like Hal 2020 is the
Yeah.
pilot.
So I don't know
you.
We should
exactly.
talk about that movie some point.
I don't know exactly when this is going to happen, but it will, and he will be one of the first.
Sounds like that's a real thing. All of it
Yeah,
checks with
and
me.
so then another part of the story is that there's a group of people. I guess
I know this one.
I guess a group is a strong word.
I know this one. Can I say it?
Yeah.
It's a group of people that want him to buy the Mona Lisa so he can eat it. Is that it?
No.
Okay, never mind. I'm off.
I wish it was that.
I swear to God, I read that.
So
I probably
close.
get the weirdest shit in my feed.
So close.
Damn it.
Missed it by that much.
Well, so
this close.
there's a group of people, and group is probably not a great word for it.
That's why I
because
thought.
there's
Collective.
tens of thousands of people, probably more by the minute,
That's a group
that are signing a
petition.
petition. Thank you, to not to have him not allowed back on Earth once he leaves into space.
On what grounds?
I don't know. I
This is America. I don't care. If people don't like him. This is America. You can't just like sign a petition and the people have spoken.
Time out. Jeff Bezos is the CEO of Amazon, correct?
Yeah, they're just insulting him.
He's not in favor with the public right now.
No, they fucking hate him.
But he
made so much money in COVID.
He created Amazon that gets everybody all their stuff, and the government must love him. He put mics and cameras in everyone's homes, but like,
well, a report just came out that he said the motto of someone working at Amazon is he thinks everyone's inherently lazy. So he like the way they do work is they work people to death, basically. They work them.
I don't know anything about that, but I tell you,
working for Amazon.
My homeboy works for them, and he's a hardworking dude, but he likes it. I mean, he had unlimited overtime this whole thing.
I can't wait till his sexual scandal comes.
But you're talking about someone who's like a workhorse. Shout out suffocating hate and talking.
No,
about
something's
you,
gonna come out where he's like peed on or shit on.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
he's a human. He's a human being, man.
Yeah, but I just can't wait till it comes out.
So yeah, and they
why I don't want to get famous.
They're union killers too, and you know, like during COVID, they didn't really do like multiple factories get shut down or warehouses or whatever.
Yeah,
they didn't like change anything to make it safer. Blah blah blah. But he, you know, a report came out basically saying that he, and I don't know if it's him, but it was like they work people until they quit. They work them into the ground.
Oh, I mean, they're
so for that. So it's interesting though.
That's a bad long term strategy,
right? Because who's going to work there?
Well, right now there's so many jobs, like people that everyone's hiring.
Yeah, but no one's working yet.
I hate that it's a badge of courage to say like that you work too much.
I was right.
I think that's stupid. Like,
I was right down. Sorry.
You know.
Go ahead.
I work 20 hours overtime. Like I'm so tired. I didn't sleep at all. Like, well, good for you, buddy.
I mean, it's hard out there. Every generation that came before us prior to like 200 years ago, like they worked all day just to gather the shit they needed to get through the day. So it's, you know, I mean, you know, they had cities and stuff and they had commerce, but like you had to get firewood, you had to get water, you had to do that. You know, there wasn't refrigeration, it wasn't cooling. It was like life was a bitch, you know, we have it great.
We have it great.
All right. The other rule to the show should be that we're not allowed to like say, I think it's a real thing or not a real thing until you give us the signal that says go.
Yeah.
So you let me know when I get to decide.
So basically like 50,000 people have signed that petition to not let them back in. I don't know the legal ramifications of that. And
there's no legal ramifications.
So I guess I'd ask you if anything I just said is a real thing.
Yeah, again, I wish you would just come up with these stories that I have to either know if it's real or not which part of it's real. But I can
game.
I can handle it.
Yes or no?
I can handle
Are there
the
parts
complexity.
of it that are real and parts that aren't?
For this one, it's either real or fake.
I think it's fake.
I think it's real, and the whole thing's real. I think even the wacko petition thing is real.
It all sounds real, but I think you're doing a story that sounds real to get us to get fooled. So I think it's fake.
Candyman's right today.
Kiss
Jesus
it.
Christ.
Kiss it. Scores 3-2 if I'm
going
right.
in space. I don't
did
know when.
see something about the Mona Lisa thing, though.
Who gets to decide if you get to re-enter the atmosphere of space? Because
not the people.
I'll tell you right now. As you know, we haven't aired it yet, but I went down a John F. Kennedy rabbit hole like a month ago or whatever, and we recorded an episode. We haven't put it out yet. It's in the cache, people. Don't worry.
I didn't know that. I don't remember that one.
You weren't here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Bonus app.
Hey.
So
That's great.
During John F. Kennedy's time, when they were actually racing to space, the governments at the time signed some kind of a treaty that basically said that like nobody can have ownership over the moon, nobody can have ownership over any area of space.
Right.
Now again, it's like what I said last week about Palestine and Israel. You know who owns that land? Whoever has the strength to take it and hold it. You know what I mean? So like they can sign all the shit they want 60 years ago. The governments of today and the corporations of today might say, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to take some ships, go up there, we're going to mine this stuff, and no one can come near us. But yeah, going into space, you don't watch sci-fi. You haven't watched The Expanse?
I watched a little bit of The Expanse.
Expanse is fucking really a really good sci-fi show.
You keep telling me to watch is Battlestar Galactica, the new one.
Oh, dude, you have to.
I haven't seen that.
It's a religious experience if you're a sci-fi person, but The Expanse is a really cool sci-fi show because it takes place so close to us in the future that it's like you and I could be like 100 and it would be like the reality of the world.
Yeah.
But they don't have great technology. They don't have like warp speed or anything like that. They're out there moving at like fast speeds, but like when they have to like maneuver, they like have to slow down and then stop and then go in a new direction. They can't just take a 90-degree turn at high, you know, at 100,000 miles an hour. Everyone would fly into the bulkheads and die. They don't have artificial gravity, any of that jazz. It's just rockets and thrusters. And, but
that's probably realistic.
But it's a good show because Mars is kind of like the USSR, where like or possibly like they're not like Germany, but they're very militant. They've got a huge military superpower, great technology, and the whole culture is you're here to give to the community of Mars. So it's communist in that regard. Everything's for Mars. And what they're attempting to do is terraform Mars and make it breathable permanently, but it's going to take like 6 or 7 generations. So when these people went there, they instilled this value system, like everything for Mars, right? And then like then there's the Belters. They live in the asteroid belt, and there's like low gravity there, and it's like having all these adverse effects on their health and stuff. And they can't, like, if they're born out there, they can't handle the gravity on Earth.
This show sounds awesome.
Oh, it's fucking great, bro.
Yeah,
it's on season
cool.
5. And then there's Earth is like the UN is the moon and Earth, and they own everything. And Mars and Earth are always at like a standoff, Cold War type situation. And the belt has all the resources, because that's where all the mining is being done. But they're just getting shit on and being exploited like third world country people.
Yeah.
And so on the show, the Belters are all uniting and forming this, like, you know, rising up and forming a group to take power for themselves. It's a fucking great show on humanity in general. The song "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel is so prolific. It's like not anything like amazing, but it's so simple. It hits the nail on the head. It's like, look, this fucking place is crazy. The people are being blown up, shot. We're lighting off nukes. We're making pollution. We're making wars. We're also making music and movies and, like, you know, rock and roll and cheeseburgers and, like.
That's why I say aliens would like us, because we have culture. I think they'd be fascinated by it.
Yeah,
we're not ants.
Part of that culture.
Dummies.
Part of that culture is all the turbulent shit that goes on, right? So, like, we didn't start the fire. We didn't light it, but we're trying to fight it, and it's gonna always be burning as the world's turning. You know what I mean?
The 80s too was all for like the world peace and stuff like that, and like,
And after
you know, like
we're
singers getting together to sing like "We Are the World."
Yeah.
after we're gone, it'll
We
burn
are-
on and on and on and on. So when I listen to that song, I'm like, this guy's hitting the nail on the head. Like, every fucking generation that's alive, they like some fucking crazy thing is going on that's horrifying, and some crazy thing's going on that's amazing. And, you know, like the first chimpanzee that did like a triple backflip to the next tree over, like some other chimps must have gone nuts for that, right? But
Right.
you know, meanwhile, some other chimp was like pounding another chimp's brains in just for fun, you know? So it was like all these good and terrible things that go on with our society. It's just going to keep going.
Yeah.
The fire's just going to keep going all the time.
God saw monkeys and he created man out of it, and somebody said, "What the hell did you do that for? Look how anxious he is."
Hey, don't tell that to my
I read something recently that man and Neanderthal lived at the same time for 100,000.
Yeah, well, they were man. They were just different species of man.
Yeah, no, they were
They definitely lived at the same time. We were smarter though.
the basic premise on paleontology and science historians now is that we had, like, the Earth was like a Middle Earth type situation. You had some elf type, not that they lived forever, but you had like a humanoid species, another humanoid species, and another humanoid species.
There were many living at the same time, and now
Yeah.
there's like, we still have remnants of Neanderthal in our DNA.
and they did interbreed.
Right.
So forcefully or not, I don't know, but you know,
Yeah, they took it by force.
well, I'm just
It wasn't
saying, like,
consensual.
Genghis Khan fucking populated Asia, you know?
Yeah.
Genghis Khan
He just dropped his load everywhere.
created and snuffed out more lives than probably anyone in human history.
Yeah.
He came in and was like, I'm killing you, raping all of you. That's 10 babies. Let's go. I'm going to marry 100 women. All right. There's 1,000 more babies.
Right.
I'm going to wipe out this village. Everyone gets murdered. Like, that guy has probably, more than any other human alive, he's probably killed and created more life.
I wonder how many people are actually like have his DNA.
Kind of a wild thing, right?
It's like a statistical. There's a stat out about how many people he killed during his. He like erased a 25% of the population at the time, or something.
And
like
can you imagine that he did that with like sheer manpower? Like if he had like firearms, they did have automatic crossbows, but if they had like fucking gunpowder and like just modern day weapons like AK-47s, that guy would reign.
Yeah.
It's a good thing he was born when he was born.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he was around today, it would be bad news bears for everybody.
Yeah, and the way I think now, like everybody on Earth, like the governments are generally they made after World War II, they made United Nations or whatever, and NATO and all these groups just to try to keep world wars from happening because so many people die. But back then there was not that. During the Roman Empire, during his era, all the other eras,
they were trying to civilize things, build roads and houses, and it was a different time.
Different.
Guess what? They didn't start the fire either. Those guys just showed up and they were there, and the fucking thing's been burning since the world's been turning, baby. The fact that Billy Joel is just like, it's always burning since the world. I mean, it's magic, man.
Did you hear it the other night or something?
No, I listened to it on the reg, but like the it's like a hip way of saying regularly.
Regular. I get that.
Just in case. I didn't want you to think the reg was some kind of device or music thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, they didn't start the fire. It's just a turbulent place over there. So yesterday, I got quite an education on communication between men and women yesterday.
Okay.
It's
just the tip?
It's quite the tale. No, this is, me, the guy who gives just the tip, got quite the education on men and women yesterday, right? So, first off, I go to my homeboy Jimmy's birthday party. Happy birthday, James, you handsome son of a gun.
Which we had a guest on our show, actually.
Yeah, his lovely girlfriend, Nicole, threw him a little surprise party, and congratulations to those guys for their new... they rented an apartment at Tuscan Village in Salem, New Hampshire.
She's a good woman.
It's a nice place. Well, from what I don't want to speak about anyone's business, but from what I hear, she could keep up with you. They could keep up with you in Kingsley. That's all I'm saying.
Bring it.
They're going at it pretty regularly, from my understanding of things. But anyway, that's...
Yeah, but how long have they been together?
Well, that's a different story, though.
Yeah, 13 years.
Yeah, talk to me in 13 years, you pussy.
Talk to me in 13 years. And
Oh, you're right. 100%. I spoke out of turn. So I'm at the party, and all the adults are sitting doing their thing. Who knows what the fuck they were talking about? I couldn't handle it. I wanted to smoke
some bullshit.
I wanted to smoke a joint, so I like walked to like and there were kids around, a lot of kids, right? They're all like 7, 6, 5, whatever.
Was it a cookout?
Yeah, it was a cookout.
Okay.
So J Bull's little daughter Brooklyn comes and sits down next to me at a certain point, right? And Brian's there sitting with me, so he witnessed the whole thing go down. And she's breaking out her like toys out of her bag and showing me her like pretend lunchbox, and it's got mac and cheese in it. And I was like, oh, and I'm wasted, right? So I'm like, mac and cheese, totally, kid, And she doesn't know I'm wasted. So she's like, it is, isn't it? I'm like, the best, So Brian's like laughing because he knows I'm retarded and that I'm totally gone, and that this is a 7-year-old kid showing me her toy.
Yeah.
She might have been younger. She might be like 6, right? So I say to her, I go, hey, let me ask you a question. I'm going to give you, this is exact. I laid it out so clear. I go, I'm going to give you 2 choices of food, and you tell me which one you like the best. I go, the 1 is mac and cheese, 2 is French fries. And she just looks at me and goes, I don't like that, and walks away. So, and I look over at Brian and I go, that right there is the essence of the miscommunication that occurs between men and women. Because I had a witness that was male, right?
Yeah.
I sat there and logically presented her with 2 options, and even like clear as day.
Yeah.
And all she says is, I don't like that, and walks away. it's not clear as to what she doesn't like. Does she not like that I gave her the choices between the two? Does she not like the second thing I mentioned?
Yeah.
She's answering that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or just you're asking questions.
I don't know. She just says, I don't like that, and walked away. It just took off after we'd been playing. She'd been showing me all the toys and everything was cool. And I was like, man, it's right there. So like, you think you're being all right and you think you're saying something and everything's going good. And meanwhile, this person just like, oh, fuck you. I don't like you. I'm not, you don't even get it. And I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
And you're out of here, buddy.
That's it.
You're out. Oh man. And now it was so
on to the next one.
It was so pure though. You know what I'm saying? Because kids are like unfiltered. And I was like, man, that's pure. The second educational lesson I received last night was this is a little political. I don't want to get too into it because we try to stay off of that stuff. But as you know, I don't watch the news.
Yes.
I'm going to give you the whole story because you're going to fucking love it, right? First of all, it went down at the old court.
Okay.
All right. I go downtown last night. I lost my license, by the way, so I don't have that. So I'm supposed to meet this girl out, and we're just friends, whatever, to meet for a drink. But, whatever. It's like hard to get her out, and she wanted to go out. So I'm like, yeah, I'll meet you out. Let's go out. Let's go. So I don't have a license because I just lost it this week. So I'm like, fuck. All right, let's go to the old court. I get down there, and that's where I run into your roommate or whatever. And we're shooting the shit for a while, and things are going on. And this girl happens to be African. She actually is from Africa, right? But she's been raised here. And I'm just kind of giving her my views on what things should, things I think they could do to like rise up and like, take power and, whatever.
In Africa?
And she's just telling me like, she's just basically angry at me for suggesting anything because like, I'm not black. And she's like, so you can't say anything. And she's like super sensitive. And so she says to me like, I'm not dealing with this on Juneteenth.
Yeah.
And I have no idea.
What the fuck is Juneteenth?
Thank you. So I have no idea what Juneteenth is. And I wasn't like disrespectful about it or whatever. I just said, what's Juneteenth? And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, is it like the 1 year anniversary of when they killed
George Floyd.
Is that what it is?
And it's not. And what it is it's basically it's a holiday to celebrate emancipation from slavery as well as the right to vote.
Sorry, so what the fuck is that?
Right
I
to
didn't
vote.
know.
Well, nobody knew. If you don't watch the news and you don't read the newspaper, you're not going to know.
Or I guess I would say go on social media.
I don't do any of these things.
Open your eyes.
So how the hell do I? Well, I don't watch the news. I don't watch TV. I don't have social media. So how am I going to know? So I will say this: Juneteenth showed up on my Google Calendar.
Yes.
And my first reaction, this is the truth. My first reaction was, oh, look at this. This is like Prime Day, but Google's trying to do it now. So this is probably something that they've come up with, Juneteenth. And I'll tell you why. It's a shitty fucking name, man, Juneteenth.
No, but
call it Freedom Day. Call it Emancipation Day. Call it...
It is called...
African American Liberation Day. Call it like Greek Independence Day. We have that, right?
Yep.
So this girl... I didn't know what Juneteenth was, and she goes, I just can't, and got up and just walked out on me, and just left me there, me, the man, lying there, sitting there like an asshole, and I still don't know what it is, so I have to pull Parksy aside, and I'm like, Parksy, what's Juneteenth? And he's his teacher and all that, so he's hip to the scene, he laid it all out for me, and I was like, okay, I agree that they should have a holiday for that, and we should have that day.
We do have that day. Yesterday was the first federal recognized holiday.
Well, that's why Dan doesn't know about it. It's why I didn't know about it. It's because we haven't had...
It's a weird name, Juneteenth.
But there's a historical context to that name. So.
It has something to do with...
I don't know. I don't know. I just know that it was...
It sounds goofy.
It's
like May the 4th.
It's not that, though. I'm not sure. I think it's because, like... It was during the teen weeks. I don't know, but let me guess. During the teen weeks of June, that all enslaved people were emancipated, and I think maybe it's June 19th. Was the last group
fully implemented.
It was the last group of enslaved people that were freed. And it was June something, and it was actually a couple of years after that.
Right. So my understanding is similar to that. So I think he's correct. It's basically like they didn't have the internet and telephones, So
They didn't know that they were going to be emancipated.
right when the law went
Right.
down, it literally, unless somebody physically rode on a horse from one point to like
It took a while to spread.
Yes, it took a while to spread and
enforce,
and
it's probably-
enforce and get all these people to give up. Like, do you think those Southern guys wanted to change their livelihood and their ways? And then, like,
That's true.
Do you think, like, what if they decided to say no? Who was going to
So
enforce
they
it?
say they pick a date for the slaves to be freed. There's still
So
were
it was like the
remnants of it for years.
Yeah,
after
right.
that.
So it's like the day it was really wiped out.
I wonder who was like the last slave that like somebody just was under the radar for like 10 years after emancipation.
Who knows?
It must have been some.
Oh, yeah.
It was these folks that came out of, I think it was Galveston, Texas was the last group, and it was
They've been kept ignorant for so long.
well, I don't think it was kept ignorant. I think it was the United States government had to crack down on ending it. Like, people were like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, what I'm saying, if like there was like a secluded area of like, let's say the Bayou in Louisiana,
Right.
and like some guy had slaves there, and he had raised them to believe that like you're a slave and you can't leave, and they never did.
Right.
And then the next generation, like how long could some sicko get away with that shit in the middle of nowhere? It could take like a long time. So you're talking about that times the whole country.
Yeah.
And basically, it took a long time. So they get a holiday as well. They should. It just needs a cooler name that gives it actual significance.
I'm sorry, but she needs to chill the fuck out.
Oh, totally, bro. And she tried
Fucking-
saying I was racist, and I was like, yeah, I'm racist.
You know what? Save that for the real racists. Like, you belittled the, like, so now KKK members are the same as us. Like, save it for the real ones. Like, stop giving it out to everybody.
For the record, anyone who knows me, and I'll say it on the air again, I subscribe to the beliefs of the United Federation of Planets from Star Trek, and that basically boils down to equality for all sentient beings, okay? I believe in equal rights and equality for all sentient organisms, okay? If fucking chimpanzees start to show more intelligence than they are right now, and it starts to look like they're sentient, we have to actually give them human rights too, okay? If a fucking computer is invented and it's so sophisticated that it's deemed
That's
that
gonna
it
happen
feels
someday.
and it's real, that gets human rights.
That's
I mean,
gonna happen someday.
they did it in Saudi Arabia, but it was like kind of a publicity stunt. I have some good publicity stunts coming up I wanted to tell you about
Wait,
too.
recently in Saudi Arabia?
It was like 2-3 years ago, Saudi Arabia, like women didn't have like the right to do anything.
Yeah.
They had this AI robot out there, and they like had a ceremony, and they were like, "Oh, we grant you they basically granted it rights because it was considered to be sentient."
But
And
women don't get it.
no,
Oh, no, we're not going to give women that.
not in
right?
Saudi Arabia.
They
I'm
suck.
sure that'll change.
I would also just add about Juneteenth is that it's not really known up here, but I think in southern states where
More celebrated.
right, and it's not necessarily Juneteenth. It's other days that, like, if I think in Kentucky it was some date in August where the slaves were freed, and so they celebrate the day in August. So people in Kentucky celebrate it there.
Fair enough.
And,
I mean,
so it
that
is a
even-
big thing in
that even makes
African-American
my case
culture.
better, though, that like the date's not even considered. They were still working on the date and all this sort of stuff. Like, how should I know that? But to call me a racist is preposterous and absurd. And
She's looking for something to get upset about.
I don't know. Doesn't matter. You know what happened? I moved on.
maybe a little ignorant on it, I'd say.
Yeah.
Not racist, but just
Yeah, but
ignorant.
not enough to get pissed off about
Yeah,
and walk
but
out.
the thing is with ignorance is that like ignorance is just you don't know something.
Yeah.
Now there's certain things that like you are deemed supposed to know, and like if you don't do that, you're like that
Ignorance is
person's
more that you
ignorant.
don't. Yeah, ignorance is more you don't want.
But
to
like if that
he just didn't know.
if she didn't know what Greek Independence Day was or what it was about, I wouldn't be like, that's so fucked up. The Turkish people were killing and raping the Greeks for this whole period of time, and the Greeks fought them off and became independent. That didn't happen to me, motherfucker. That happened to some dudes like 200 years ago, whenever it happened. I don't even know when it happened, but I know it didn't happen to me. I grew up in America. This is where I'm from. And I don't take offense when people don't know something about my culture. I just try to teach them, you know what I mean? I don't stomp out and walk out. Anyway,
Those bloodthirsty Turks.
I loved it. I haven't been walked out on like that in maybe 3-4 times in my life. It was great. It was like,
I know, yeah, you get a kick out of that.
oh, I loved it. I told Parky, Bean was working last night. And I'm like, Bean, that chick just got up and walked out on me and basically said I'm an asshole. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you, mate. You know? And so shout out to the old court in Lowell. That place is a fucking good time. You know, they're good people. Quick little story about that. You don't know Dan. Macka knows, but this guy Beans from Ireland. It's his nickname, but he's the bartender there, and he's got a pretty good Irish accent. But I wouldn't say he's homophobic, but like if a homosexual guy like touched him or tried to kiss him, he would straight up punch him in the face, because like that's what they would do in Ireland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
but he knows that I'm not gay, but like he's not like down with like a bro date. You know, like Mac and I could like go to the movies, but like so basically for like 15 years or so, whenever I go to the old court, I ask this guy out on like a man date. And so like at first he like wouldn't respond to it at all. He just shook his head no. After a while he started agreeing, like he won't show up, but he's like, yeah, man, I'll see you there, you know? He's like, so last night I asked him, I was like, hey, I was like, Bean, I was like, tomorrow would you like to get some brunch or maybe catch a matinee later in the day? And he was like, yeah, man. He's like, great. It's like, great. I'll just fuck Father's Day. I'll just go to, he's like, we'll just go get some brunch. And like Parks, he's peeing, laughing behind because he's like, he knows the joke, and he's just like, so I leave and I'm like outside smoking some endo, you know, some ganja out on the street outside the door, and I'm getting ready to go home. And these two cats walk by me, these two guys, and they ask me, they come up to me like, hey, you look like a cool guy. I'm like, thanks, man. That's like the top 3 things anyone could say to me to like light my day up for like 7 days. Like, you're cool. I'm like, thanks. So they come up to me, they're like, you look like a cool guy. Are there any girls in here? And I quoted Doc Huckleberry from time out. Doc Holliday from Tombstone. I said, I'm your Huckleberry. That's just my game. And I told them there's no girls in this bar, but I had seen a ton of hot girls go down to Smokehouse.
Yeah, probably.
But the Smokehouse has a reputation of kind of like fights breaking out and being a little rough crowd or whatever. But I told these guys, I was like, look, it's like when the seals cross that part where the great whites are there, but they have to get out there and get the fish, so they'd risk it for the biscuit.
Right.
So I was like, let's go. So we get there, and I'm wearing flip-flops.
Wait, you went with them?
Yeah, strangers. 2 dudes I just met because I was already messed up all day from partying with Jimmy and all these other people. And, I'd take an Uber downtown, and I was like, I can do whatever I want. And we'd been locked up all year. You're talking to a guy that went to another country and, spent a long time there by myself. I'll make friends with people right away and go, like, party with them. Like, I'm all for that. That's exciting. So the 2 of the dudes that we go with, first of all, I get in line because there's a line there, right? And I get intercepted by the owner, who's like about like 65-year-old guy, and he's like, "Hey, sorry, bud, you can't come in. You're wearing sandals." And I was like perplexed because I'm like,
women wear them.
I'm like, wait a second, is it a safety? Like I could understand like if he was like, "Hey, dude, no steel toe boots in here because you could stomp someone's brains out with them. It's considered a weapon." But I guess they're trying to say that, like, because my toes are exposed, I'm going to get my toe stepped on and then it could cause a fight. So, and it's a dress code thing.
Yeah.
So I just tell these other dudes.
I bet women wear them now, open-toed shoes.
I don't know. I think so. So I just told these other 2 dudes, because I didn't even know them. They were strangers. I was like, you guys go ahead, have a good time. And so the owner just basically sees that and thinks I'm cool, right? And so I'm 5 feet away, like across the street from the entrance, and I start smoking another joint, right? And the owner comes over and starts shooting the breeze with me. And then I start talking to him about the building and how he's got the whole thing's vacant, and he owns the building and it's vacant. And one topic I was going to bring up tonight, and this is how I got into it with him last night, was that there's a big homeless problem going on right now in the country and in every city, I think. And I just can't stand it anymore. We got to do something about it. We're going to have to start getting people informed.
I want to exploit one of them and bring them on the show.
Well, listen, I don't want to exploit.
I don't.
But
I just wanted to make you guys uncomfortable.
Yeah.
One of my publicity stunts that I've got coming up. Sean knows what a publicity stunt is. It's basically when I do something that's so outlandish that, like, come on, guy, you didn't
Like walking into somebody's work.
you weren't really.
Boss.
Yeah.
like when I married like when I married the girl in Thailand. You know what I mean?
That was like, I heard.
That's a publicity
This is what
stunt.
I heard. But I heard you were Mike, right?
Siemens.
Yeah. I heard you whispered to him during the ceremony, like, "Hey, anything looks off, let's just run." He's like, "This rooster's running around." The whole family was like,
Bro.
my daughter has a new American husband."
That's a story for another time, but
You gotta tell that story in the show. We gotta have an episode for the marriage story.
All right, well,
yeah, it's a whole episode next week.
Okay, next week's marriage.
Next week's marriage episode. It's such a good story.
I have good material on that
Yeah.
too. But let me just tell you, that particular guy is the king of like, if you're of all the wingman and co-pilots out there, he's the king of encouraging me to do something that's probably not a good idea. Okay, so if I'm in a situation where where I'm like, I'll look at him and be like, "Hey, Mike, should I do this?" He'll be like,
"Oh yeah,
do it." Even if it costs money, he might even give me the money. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's like the ultimate enabler for me to do like things that are definitely I shouldn't be doing.
Right.
But back to last night, right?
You're talking to the owner.
Yeah, we're talking to the owner, and I'm telling him we should convert the upstairs into housing for homeless people, and I get it. A lot of these people are homeless or either mentally ill or hooked on hard drugs or both, right? But his argument to me is that I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to see him around, and I'm like, bro, they're already around. I was like, there's 10 of them around us that night. I had two different people come up to me when I was outside last night, doing smoking and chilling.
And ask for money.
And no, they asked me to take him into the bar and buy him a couple of drinks. Like, can you help me out? Can you help a homeless guy out? Buy me a drink? I was like, what?
My God.
I've never seen this before.
When we used to go to Lowell when we were younger, we didn't see that.
And I'm seeing people sleeping.
Once in a while, we'd see a homeless person.
I'm seeing people sleeping under the dude. I took a deep dive downtown last night because I had joints and time to walk around. So I was strolling the streets, bad neighborhoods, everything. I saw about not a dozen, but I'd say like 7 people sleeping under stoops last night in the streets. Yeah. So we got to do something. We got to get a movement going. We got to get people informed that we need to get, there's got to be a better filtration process to get these people off the streets, get them somewhere where they can be like safe and something. You know what I mean?
What the budget is in LA for homeless people? It's $2 billion a year. And they're still homeless. How is that possible?
What's the
Who is managing that money?
Google it right now. What's the police budget in LA? I want to know that.
All right.
Well, I would say, when you say we got to do something, like there's stuff being done.
It's clearly not enough. There needs to be way more housing made available for these people. Like, on the boulevard where McDonald's is that like $1 million Asian fence in front of that house that looks like it's a crack house?
It's $1.8 billion.
Gets spent on police.
Yep, and $2 billion on the homeless.
$2 billion on the homeless.
$2 billion in LA.
That's more than the police budget?
Yes.
Wow.
And they still can't find a way to get them out of their tents. You fucking kidding me? That's so much money.
I don't know. There's a lot of whatever.
How much does it take?
There's money that costs.
There needs to be more done, dude.
Clean up and.
But there's a lot of space being wasted. I know.
There's also like you're not going to put homeless people right in the middle of the downtown condominiums and all the empty space in there. Like that's not going to work.
All I'm saying is if they're loitering those areas anyway, and they're sleeping there, why not just make a government-funded place to put them in?
Who's going to manage that place? They're going to be fights and thefts and
there'll be jobs created.
And then they'll be homeless again.
There'll be jobs created.
Yeah, man. But I don't think they can hold down jobs.
I also
there could be programs where some of them benefit from it, but I don't think most of them will.
You have to think about the root, and just getting them housing isn't the root.
No, I know it's a super complex issue, but there's still people out there that we could be doing better. That's all I'm saying. It's starting to become a point where I'm like, dude, I can't watch this anymore.
When I was in San Diego, I saw Tent City.
Yeah.
We have one in Lowell.
There's many in Lowell, and we're talking about like serious drug addiction.
Yeah, I know, and mental illness, and schizophrenia, and all kinds of horrible shit. Stuff that they need to be put in like a big facility for, if that's the case. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I just know we need to put more resources into it. It's the bottom statement I'm trying to make, right?
We have half our government doesn't want to do that stuff.
Well,
and the other half doesn't really want to do that stuff.
Yeah, well. Somebody like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or someone needs to do it then. Right. Somebody super wealthy, right? But anyway, to round out the story with that guy, he after about 5 minutes says to me, he's like, well, I'm smoking weed out in the street talking to him, right? He's like, you know what, man? He's like, you're a gentleman. You go right ahead, get in there and have fun. I go, yeah? I go, yeah. He walks me up to the bouncer so I don't have to wait in line again. He goes, hey, Vinny, this guy, he's all right. Let him in there, right? So now I'm in the bar, right, in the club. I meet back up with these two guys. They're like, how'd you get back in here? I was like, the owner just thought I was cool and let me back in. They're like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, yep. And they're like, you are cool, man. I was like, some people think I am. Some people think I'm not. I'm like, some girl just straight up walked out on me a few minutes ago because I was so not cool to her that she was like, fuck you.
How old are these guys?
These dudes were like our age. One was from Portugal and one was like a shorter dude wearing a hat and a beard. He finds out that we've got a podcast. I bring it up probably because I'm wasted. They immediately start following it. I tell him that you're going to have a support group or some kind of something for people, and he's short, right?
Let me ask you a question. When you go out now, I always picture, like I tell Kingsley we should go out, but I always picture that we're going to be like the old ones there. Yeah. Like, is that true, or is it like a mix these days?
You guys would blend in because you don't look like old.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was out last night with a pretty gray-ass goatee, and I was,
Depends where you go.
Yeah.
Go to the place he's talking about. It's like a nightclub.
I was teaching.
You go to the rally cap.
I was teaching people how to dance last night, showing them how to moonwalk and stuff. I was on a different level, but
you were in rare form.
I was in rare form, yeah. But these cats, this one dude, Michael, shout out to Michael. He's 5'7". He goes, how tall is 67 inches? I'm like 5'7". I'm like 5 times 12 is 60. Add 7 to that, you got 67. So I was like, that's the cutoff for the support group because you said 5'7".
I think.
He's in.
I actually would like to run a support group for guys that are 5 to 7 and under, like in person. Like we have like a fraternity and have meetings and shit, and we discuss how to maneuver around being short.
Start the group like the long hairs, but for the What are you gonna call it? What's it?
Yeah,
can't be like the short guys. That's
no. Modest men.
Modest men. Ooh.
Modest men international.
Modest men international.
Bam.
Who wants to join? You have to be male, under 5'7".
Yeah.
And kids can't join, right? You got to be full grown.
No. You have to be a full grown adult.
Hair on your balls.
You have to be 21 or older.
21 or older. Okay, 21 or older, under 5'7", and you have to be male. What about like somebody who's not technically in a man's body but identifies as male? Are they allowed to be in?
Any man. My hair group is any man.
But I'm talking like a transgender
That's
person.
any man. Yeah,
they count?
Oh, yeah, they count. Yeah.
All right, they have to deal with the same rickers.
They got it even worse because they got to there's a lot of confusion and bullshit they have to deal with.
Yeah, I know.
In my long hairs group, we got some guys, transgender guys with long hair. And most of the time, the instinct is when you become a guy, you cut your hair short like a dude does. But they don't do it, so they're actually more convincing because they just look like a guy with a beard and long hair. They don't look like they're trying to fit. You know what I mean? Blend in.
Oh, they stand out.
They stand out as a guy with long hair most of the time. One of them in my group, I had no clue. No clue. It was a guy. It was born a woman.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, in Thailand, they have the highest ladyboy population.
Well, this is not ladyboy. I'm talking transgender men, which used to be women.
Yeah, no, they have that. That's everywhere, dude. They have pageants of people that are me and Mikey.
No, but they're men who used to
be Mikey.
They're men used to be men who are now women, though.
Yeah.
I'm saying the other way around.
Yeah, they did both. They do both over there.
Oh, they do.
I think that they pioneered the transgender surgery.
Some of those ladyboys are hot, and I'd be very fooled.
No, like a lot of them are
hot,
like 80%,
and you'd be fooled.
You be careful over there, baby.
Yeah,
you be careful what you put your dinky into over there in general, but you double check on all the. You gotta watch out for ladyboys.
You gotta check under the hood and see what's going on there.
You do have to check under the hood. What's going on for Bizarre Beyond Belief this week, man?
Oh, nothing. There's just UFO news like crazy. Everywhere we go, and people are wondering what disclosure is going to be very soon. They don't know if the government's going to hold back, and it's going to be nothing but bullshit and the usual thing that they don't know what it is. People talking about how this theory is that it could be hypersonic, crafts from China or Russia, but I don't think that's possible. I don't think they're going to be more advanced than we are with that kind of shit. And if it was, they would know it because they'd probably already have it in the United States themselves. But
or we would have invented a reason why we have to invade.
But since I was in San Diego, I have a really cool. There's a film maker that I think there's a film coming out. Wait, who is it? Oh, it's that guy who makes those UFO films. I forget what his name is. Jeremy Corbell.
Jeremy Corbell.
Yeah. Okay. So he's talking about machines of unknown origin swarming our Navy warships, flying with impunity in our restricted airspace off the coast of San Diego. So there's a new footage of one that goes. They're talking. The military guys are in their jets. They're talking like, hey, what the fuck is that? And then they watch it go in the water and disappear. And then they go over there to check for wreckage because they weren't sure if it was like a object that crashed, and it didn't. It just went into water.
Splash, splash.
They probably, if you people always look for UFOs in the sky, but it's a good possibility that they've been transversing under, is that a word?
Transversing means moving from one point to
Yes,
another.
okay, they were transversing through the oceans.
Don't ask me how to spell it.
They can get pretty deep. They can get pretty deep and fast and do that in the ocean when nobody's going to see shit. And then maybe they come up once in a while to like observe and shit.
Earlier I said space is the final frontier, and then I kind of murmured after that. I don't know if you heard it, but I kind of said also our own oceans.
Our own oceans.
Because like we just don't know that far
Like
down.
I was looking at trenches this week because I was in the hospital with Kingsley, and she was a little dizzy, and so we were talking, well, more than a little dizzy, but we were talking about like trenches in the ocean, and she's like, where's the Marianas Trench? So I found out it was in the Pacific Ocean, and then in the Atlantic, there's one that goes almost as deep, like and then we have a ridge. We have crazy shit and crazy topography.
There's all kinds of stuff down there we don't know about.
There's a giant megalodon, Carcharodon megalodon.
And, it's cool. It's we're going to figure it out eventually. It's what we do. Or if we don't wipe ourselves out or get wiped out,
There's a video also that just came out of Donald Trump getting peed on under a coffee table.
No.
That might not be a real thing.
I was going to say.
Well, that's allegedly out there.
It's out there. It's definitely out there.
That's
How could you say you grabbed the pussy and still become president?
If you...
That's amazing.
I'll tell you exactly.
This is America.
I'll tell you.
It's America. You could do anything in America.
I'll tell you exactly how it happened. It happened because people were so fed up with the regular system that was going on that they were like, we're going to vote this wild man in.
I know, but it's a lot of like Southern Republicans who like, Trump is a New Yorker. He's not your guy. He's not for you. He doesn't give a fuck about you guys. And it's all these people that like, traditionally, he's not your dude. I'm telling you.
If you
not good.
Not saying don't support him or anything. I'm just saying he's not the guy like that. Like he's not like your guys down south. This guy.
He's not a good old boy.
No, he's not a good old boy at all. But he got like sidelined with them, like as like he was.
I'm afraid of the
South.
I don't want to go down there. I feel like that's a
guys with like camo hats.
I just
like
don't want
flag on
I don't
it.
want to go down there, man.
Yeah.
If you'd said any other politician's name, there was a video of them coming out getting peed on under the table, I'd be like, totally, wow, that makes sense. No, it would have been like big deal.
Yeah.
Well, Trump's like the only guy that I was like, no fucking way this guy would let anyone pee on him. He's doing the peeing, and that's how it's gonna go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know what? Like I say, sex tourist. These rich guys, they've done everything.
You think they're extraterrestrials in disguise?
No, I think they're the human form of that. He's the human form. He went to Russia, met up with a couple hookers that they set him up with. The regular stuff doesn't get him off anymore.
Yeah, no,
So
I hear you.
I want to share something.
What is it?
So, okay, so this is cool because, I hit like 38 years old and like I was on the prednisone and like I was like had moon face and stuff. I just looked like shit and felt like shit.
A steroid.
And I basically thought like, okay, women, not like I'm like a Lothario, but certain types of women looking at me didn't happen anymore. I just thought that was over. Like I just got my wife and that's over. Like I'll always have my wife. So like forget that. But like lately, even Kingsley's been like staring chicks down because I've been getting looked at like in the mall and stuff.
She's territorial.
And but I told her, I'm like, listen, I'm like, you gotta give me this because like,
Yeah.
I'm approaching 40 and like I might never get this again. So like, especially young girls stopped looking at me a while ago and now they are again.
It does something to you, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's pretty
Well, they're
sweet.
probably like, what band is he in? Like, this
Maybe.
dude's a rock star.
Oh, and we're at Owen and Ollie's the other night in Drake for dinner, and this guy with his family, this like middle-aged guy, is staring at me the whole time. I'm like, what the fuck?
You think he was fake homo and
I
then
don't
he
know.
was
He looks
family's
like
a
one of those guys
cover
that, like,
and then he
there's
wanted
my
you.
wife, and he's like, yeah. He's like, but I do other things. So he was staring at me. I was like, Kingsley, should I get up? Should I say something to this guy? Like, I didn't want to start anything, but I wanted to be like, I can't eat with this guy staring at me.
You should have
He's right there.
gone up to the wall and done a slow spin and looked back at him mean like a dragon.
I should have went like this.
No, seriously. Well, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, like I said, last week or whatever, it's, twice in I think the same day or at least the same week, I saw a girl walking down the road, and I was like looking at her butt, and then as I got closer, it turned out to be a long-haired dude. So
Oh yeah.
horniness is at an all-time high in society right now.
Yeah.
I saw, and for a guy like me, it's hitting dangerously high, dangerous levels.
It's especially the alt chicks that look at me. You know what the alt chicks are? Alt chicks are like girls with like crazy colored hair and piercings and stuff, and that's the alt chicks. They listen to like.
I love those girls.
Yeah, that's the alt chicks.
Medusa's one of those chicks.
So they like really like they love me.
They love your style.
They love my style. Yeah,
I bet you they do.
they compliment me and stuff. My wife's like, "That fucking bitch."
Yeah, she's a primal woman.
Oh yeah, she'll.
She'll throw down.
Yes, she will. Oh, one time in China Max, this girl was like, "I was just at a wedding, and your boyfriend was at the wedding with my friend as a date." This is like
I think
we
I
just-
remember
Yeah,
this.
this is before we had kids and stuff. We were just a couple.
I think I remember you
and
telling
Keith is
me
like,
this.
"Listen, you talk to him again, I'm gonna beat your ass." And the girl started taking video of us. Like, I know this is that guy. Like, I wasn't anywhere near a wedding. Like, she's just drunk.
It
and,
was
like,
it was a doppelganger.
she must have just saw a doppelganger of me, and like, yeah, and she was ready to kill that girl.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was a mistaken identity case.
Right.
Total mistaken identity. I think she did see me at the wedding. It just wasn't me. You know.
That sounds like a thing Candyman would do. Are you sure? Are you
sure?
I think I saw you at a wedding. You were with that other girl.
To be clear, I'm the drunk girl misidentifying Dan in the story right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
My I don't know why it reminds me of this, but my dad, we were
That's one of my all-time basic moves.
Yeah.
I that's what I do. I'm like,
Hey,
me, my brothers and sisters, and all the wives and stuff were all watching Paranormal Activity. And halfway through the movie, my dad's sitting there. He's watching intently the whole time. He goes, "I think this house is haunted." Like the movie.
Yeah.
Like, Dad. Jesus.
like that's obviously why you're watching it, right? Because
Yeah, it's called Paranormal Activity. The whole movie was all ghost shit happening. I don't know what he thought he saw when he saw like things moving and like shadows and stuff.
you got to understand, the older you get and the more medications you start taking, start
Yeah,
working.
he probably wasn't even paying attention to the
start-
movie. He was
you-
probably staring at the screen, but he was probably just thinking about everything else.
Losing your marbles.
Or just thinking about nothing.
Slowly over time, you're just
Yeah.
degrading and losing your marbles. It's fucking brutal.
So it's cool to get a second wind closing on 40, basically.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I'm taking full advantage of the next 10 to 15 years of sexiness
You
that I
should.
have left. I'm gonna capitalize hard on.
should.
I'm going after everything with a vengeance. So.
Because eventually, you know, you look at the old guys like our dad's ages, and like we're gonna be them eventually. So like,
I'm gonna rock this motherfucker till the wheels fall off, baby.
that's it.
That's what I'm gonna. That's all I'm gonna say. That means I'm gonna wear it out, Danny.
Wear it out.
So this week for just the tip, I thought to myself, you know, there's some good old stories out there that, you know, like guys have passed around for generations that like, I mean, we should put some of those on the air. You know what I mean?
Like what?
Well, I'm gonna come out with a classic today. Okay, if you've never heard this, you are living in a I don't know where you're at, under a rock in the middle of nowhere, but this is a classic male to male story that like your granddad would say to you, or like if you had a cool relationship with your dad, maybe he would say it. Happy Father's Day to all the dads, by the way. I'm a dad. It's an awesome experience, but today I was talking to my bro like about how cool you were saying with your second wind. Before I get into just the tip, you were saying about the second wind thing, and I was saying the cool thing about having kids when you're in your early 20s is that if you like don't, you know, if you don't like, you know, let yourself go and like you know, keep yourself in good shape or whatever, like you can have a good like 15 or 20 years left to go out and party and do cool shit. And you might even be able to do that a little bit with your own kid, which is cool. But like a lot of people nowadays are
A few years for you.
like a lot of people. Yeah, right. A lot of people nowadays, they're getting married like not until even they're in their 30s, right? And so now all of a sudden you're in your 30s, and then you've got, you know, they're trying to like, a lot of them do crank out the kids right away once they get married because they are getting married late.
Some don't. Some
But
try after 35.
Well, the cost of
And
housing.
it's hard for them.
Yeah, the cost of housing is expensive, and then they're trying after 35. Your sister went through it, right? Like
I just have
fertility.
kids, and I worry about that.
Yeah, you're a barbarian. Well, you know what though? Like I make jokes about your fertility, but based on the amount of sex you're actually having, you might not even be that fertile. You might be like slipping a couple past the goal, but because it's 10 million in a year, it's
No.
got one.
I
in
have a
there.
vasectomy now, obviously.
Right.
But when I could get her pregnant, like I had to be very, very careful because all it took was one time. She was like, I want to get pregnant. Okay, boom. You're pregnant.
I remember her
Bragging.
telling me one time that before James Tiberius was born, that she wanted one more, and you'd already told us that you got snipped, and that's when I was like,
We talked about this.
I know, but I was like, I don't think I know all the facts on this one, but
I told you what it was.
well, here's just the tip. Okay, this is a classic, and it goes like this: there's two bulls standing on top of the hill, and they're overlooking a meadow. It's a classic,
I know this
right?
one, yeah.
And they're overlooking a meadow of cows, aka female bulls, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the young bull says to the older bull, he's like, "Hey, let's run down there and fuck one of those cows," right? And the old bull says, "Whoa, easy there, killer." He's like, "Let's just strut our stuff down there and fuck them all."
Yeah.
And so I'm not exactly positive what that moral of the story is,
I'm not
how
either.
it applies, but I guess what it means is, to me, is that, like, like sometimes you got to just play it cool, right? So like I'm all about going after the jugular and all that because that's my style.
Yep.
So last night, and this is why I like to give girls my information. That's what, if they call me back, that means they're interested. If they don't, I'm a sucker MC that they're not interested in. You know what I'm saying?
You don't want to sit there and harass them and like have them.
No, I just say, hey,
wonder.
this is how. Hey, I want to take you out sometime. So like last night, there was this Asian girl in the club with like this jade dress on, and I like walked up to her and she had the gold bells on and stuff, and I just looked her right in the eye. I was like, listen, I like looked her right in the eye. I go, look, I said something to the effect of like, here's the deal. You look dope or fly. I think I might have said, you look fucking fly in that dress right now. And I mean that. I think I said like, and I mean that the way they meant it in the 90s.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
awesome and cool.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. And she was there, one of her friends, and they were giggling or whatever. And then I just said, look, I want to give you my number. And then I had to like go find a pen and paper because it was like this club. And then like, and I came back and gave it to her. So like I go for the jugular, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If she calls you, she calls you.
But like at the same time, like you gotta just sometimes you gotta play it cool. Like I think if you're in like a school type situation or whatever, and some girl might like you, you gotta just take it, let it happen, let it occur. Like
You can't get stuck in the friend zone though either.
I think the other moral to the story is that the cows are down there, and the flip side to the story that no one talks about is there's a whole group of cows down in that valley. And this is, I guess, really what the tip is in reality. What no one ever talks about, the story that we've never heard, the untold story
Right.
of the cow scenario, is that the whole group of cows are down there.
Like Schroeder's cat.
They're whispering all to each other, like, "Oh my God, you see those bulls up there? Jeez, one of them's gonna come down and fuck us. It's gonna be awesome."
Which one are they gonna fuck?
And then the other cow's like, "You're such a slut." And they're like, "No, look at the one on the left. His butt is so fucking. Look at his horns. Look at this, right?" And cows are all down
such
there.
a slut.
They're down there in their little gossip hole, like making fun of each other. But they're just dying for these bulls to come down that hill and fuck
Yeah,
them.
even the ones
you know
that
what I mean? They just can't.
Even the ones that call and the other ones that slut.
They can't. Yeah, they can't wait for it to happen. So, if all the other cows see it, like maybe it bothers them. I don't know. But I think that's the flip side to the story that no one ever knows about.
Right.
They should put that in
that
there,
they want it.
that the cows are down there.
Tell the male
They want you to come down the hill looking
They,
cool.
they love it.
because it's not cool for women to be like that.
They need to flip the script.
Yeah.
Some of the cows like to pretend to run. They like to give chase, so they get over the hill. The other cows can't see them.
Did she
they
put
just
you in
collapse. Like, go, man, do it.
You gave her a number old school and you had her put it in her purse or whatever?
And I don't do any like, hey, pull out your cell phone. It's too awkward. I like to handwrite it down,
Yeah, that is better.
hand it to
Hope they
them.
don't lose.
That's way classier.
If they lose it, they lose it. Well, the thing is, I lost my goddamned wallet this week. I usually pull my business card out, and that's like kind of, that's my game, baby. I'm like, hey, here's my card.
It's this Candyman with a fucking
Yeah,
monkey, like, hey.
yeah, exactly. And if some person's into that, then they're probably on my wavelength. If they're not, it's like when I used to wear the Star Trek communicator pin on my leather jacket. I don't do that anymore because it was poking into my chest and it kept flipping upside down.
I have a good one that's Bluetooth.
But we used to, I used to go out to the bars wearing my biker coat, sometimes leather pants, all the gear, right?
the whole getup.
the whole thing, looking like a biker. But I was wearing a Star Trek The Next Generation communicator pin on my vest, right?
So it's like geek bait.
And so like nobody would know what that is except people that are into Star Trek.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like walking around saying, "Oh yeah, who wants to dress up like Lursa and and oh man, it's Lursa and Bator of House Duras who wants to get dressed up like those girls. Remember when you don't know about this?
I don't know about this.
Just to wrap up, I know we're getting past the time and it's hot and all that other stuff, but
It is hot.
have you quit Star Trek?
I'm just working my way through it at my own pace.
He hasn't watched one in a
So
month.
is it on the back burner? Is it?
I'm actually not, I don't know. It's just I haven't been really watching anything lately. So
Oh, do you remember the episode when Picard is like Worf's lawyer on Kronos?
Yes.
It's in Klingon. He's the Chadich, and they basically like Lursa and Bator like lure Picard away, and I think actually they lure Worf away, and they like get him, and they're all like surrounding him like a pack of wolves, but they're all like sexy, and they're like, come on, Worf, just do what we need you to do, stand down. And they're like that. Basically, they're like these two Klingon chicks that are like snarling at him, like trying to rape him, and Picard. I think Picard too gets like they make a pass at him, and he's like, "Madam, you are out of line." Captain Picard does.
Do you remember in the Undiscovered Country with Kirk?
course.
Worf was his lawyer, but it was supposed to be like Worf's grandfather. I don't know what it was supposed to be, but
Descendant, like his grandfather.
It was just basically the actor that played Worf, though.
Michael Dorn. Klingons, I think, are supposed to live something like 200 years, maybe 250 on the long run. Vulcans are like, I think they can push 400 years. Humans in Star Trek, they get up to like
150.
150. 150 is like 100.
Bones is like 150 on Next Generation when they showed him.
I think that's the opening. I think he cameoed on the Farpoint, the pilot episode.
Oh, I just saw the preview for Picard.
Oh, Q's
with
in it,
Q.
baby.
Yeah.
Q, baby.
That was good.
Macka, you hate Q.
Well, I hate the start of Q.
It's a vehicle for the show to make like cool storylines.
If you watch the show,
It's like the holodeck.
if you watch the show longer, you'll like or not. You'll start to like Q. I think. I don't know. I like everybody.
So there's a show I saw on Netflix or Prime. I'm not sure. It's about an airplane that never shows up on the runway, and it events like to them, they just show up on the runway, but it's years later.
Yeah, they went
Like,
through some sort of time
warp. Yeah,
time warp.
I want to watch it.
I'll check that out. All right, so I guess that's it for this week. Remember to like us on Instagram.
Like us on Instagram.
If you have something you want to say or correct us on, or you have a topic that you think would be cool for us to talk about, you can email us at
TNM.
Yeah, go ahead.
TNMBART@gmail.com.
TMNT.
And then apparently next week we're going to be covering marriage from the perspective of,
Your wedding in Thailand.
well, time out. It's going to be a guy who's never been married, Macka.
Yeah.
A guy who actually got married to a person in another country and hasn't actually seen or communicated with them in
Since like 2 weeks after the wedding.
20 years? No, a year.
No, I
a year
wanna
and
hear the
change.
story. I wanna hear the story.
A year and change. But I'm just
I haven't
saying,
heard the story in a while.
I'm technically hitched to a lady in Thailand, but I don't think it's legal
Not
in
like
the U.S.
U.S. legal, though.
Right, I don't even think it's legal over there. I don't remember signing any documents or anything.
Yeah.
But I was pretty Valiumed up at the time. And then there's the
Disco
guy.
biscuits.
Then there's the that's right. And then there's the guy who is married, has 4 kids, and is in it to win it. We're going to look at the whole perspective. Maybe Kingsley will come on. I don't know if it's fair to have her on. She's the only wife in the equation.
She's pretty well behaved on the show, though. You gotta
No,
admit.
dude, she's good on the show.
She knows when to chime in and when.
Yeah.
Kingsley's great on the fucking show. Her voice is good on the show, and she like has relevant stuff, and her timing and tempo is good, and all this
Yeah.
other stuff. I see why you like her, buddy. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Special shout out to Denome, and until next time.
See ya.
See you later. Get your hooshies off.